think the best way to describe the work of the conservatory is perhaps through sound. You can hear the wind, the waves against the earth of the bank, the grasses, and these are the forces of erosion and accretion at the coastal edge. I'm Matthew Burtner. I'm the Eleanor Shea Professor of Music in the Composition and Computer Technologies program at UVA.
I'm Willis Jenkins, and I study ethics. I'm the chair of our Religious Studies department, and I understand myself as a scholar of environmental humanities.
I'm Karen McGlathery. I am a professor in environmental sciences at UVA, and I also am the director of the Environmental Resilience Institute, and I also am director of the Virginia Coast Reserve long-term ecological research project, which is where the Coastal Conservatory is based.
Coastal Futures Conservatory is an experimental lab developing ways to integrate arts and humanities into the study of coastal change. We call ourselves a conservatory because cultivating skilled forms of listening is our organizing focus. Listening directly to environments with field equipment, expanding and focusing the sensory experience people can have, offering publics new ways to listen to the science.
One of the big areas that we have focused on is looking at restoration of ecosystems. And so we've done a lot of work on the seagrass. We're interested in both how the seagrasses are very productive in taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, how they provide habitat for important species like crabs, and how vulnerable they might be to climate change, in particular temperature or marine heat waves.
We use sonification to turn unsounding energy into something that we can listen to, things like light, temperature, chemistry. And this very noisy sonification, it's working on the fluctuating chemistry of the seagrass bed, and this is from Karen's research. Here, we're listening to the carbon and nitrogen levels collected each summer over 7 years. So the carbon concentration is determining the way that file is played back.
It adds another dimension for me to think about how these ecosystems are functioning, how they're breathing, how the seagrass take up carbon dioxide and release oxygen.
Another sonification tracks the active weeks of summer for the seagrass bed, the ambient light. It determines the length of the tone. The oxygen measurements are controlling the pitch itself. I think of it like the music being made like for a piano trio, but instead of violin, cello, and piano, we're using erosion, seagrass chemistry, and light as the instruments that are determining the sounding result.
It's hard to talk to a person and say, this is what this place will look like in 100 years. If you're just showing them a graph. If they listen and feel that environmental change, feel that climate change, it's much easier to begin to imagine what that might mean for the ecosystem.
One key challenge in responding to rapid, disruptive environmental changes lies in the way it often exceeds our cultural capacities to make sense of it. I appreciate the way the conservatory expands capacities to perceive dynamics of coastal change, hear those relations, and then open space for people to interpret them and respond to that experience, to begin to imagine rapid environmental change. I think it's a key step in developing more robust forms of political responsibility.